In this episode, I talk about chasing your dreams. Hey, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? My name is Michael Sahno, and welcome to the Sea and Land Fitness Podcast. I, of course, am your host, as I said, Michael Sahno. This episode is brought to you by Sea and Land Fitness. Head on over to www.sandlfit, that's sandlfit.com, and pick up some Sea and Land Fitness merch. Pick up some shirts, pick up some hats. We got a bunch of stuff, new stuff. I got to update the website. We got new multicam hats, and this is one of the arid brown ones, black multicam, and I've got regular multicam being stitched up right now. All right, so in the intro, I spoke to you. I told you, we're going to be talking about following your dreams. That is way too corny, but I couldn't think of any other way to frame it. Hold on, I'm going to have a sip of coffee. Peter Madeira, this is for you. Can't make it through a podcast without a sip of coffee. All right, so I'm in the middle right now of developing some fitness programs, and there's a lot of exciting stuff, and I'm going to spend the back end of this podcast talking about what's coming up and what we're going to be doing. But in a nutshell, our fitness programs, Sea and Land Fitness programs, our programs are designed to help you get into the military. We have 3 different levels. We have Tier 3, which is for individuals who want to go into a boot camp in any of the branches of the military, and Tier 2 is for those of you who want to go into boot camp and to AIT. That's initial training for the combat arms. That's the infantry, engineers, tankers, artillery, all that stuff. Special forces, you know what I mean? If you want to go, because no, that's not what happens. You guys go through your own pipeline. I went through the infantry pipeline. I also went into the Navy. So I spent 6 years in the Navy, actually 8 years, but that's ready reserve and stuff like that. And then another 4 years in the infantry with the 1st of the 105th Infantry of the New York Army National Guard. And light infantry, by the way, which is, legging it. And so Tier 3, going into the military, you want to do something in the Navy, you want to do something in the Air Force, Coast Guard. That's for you. If you want to go into the Marine Corps or into the Army Infantry, Tier 2 would be for you. And Tier 3, or Tier 1, which is our highest, not highest level, but highest intensity of workout program. That's for individuals who are going to go on to those special operations assessments and selections. And those involve, a lot of endurance, a lot of physical prowess, and most importantly, obstacle courses. And we have in our program, we have power as a part of it. Power is from pushing from point A to point B in over a specific period of time. That's work, actually. But the metric of power is dictated by, of course, in comparison to other individuals doing it. So let's say you have someone who can do 20 push-ups in a minute, and you have someone who can do 50 push-ups in a minute. The individual who can do 50 push-ups has more power, work over time, than the individual who did 20 push-ups. And I'm talking about push-ups for a very specific reason. So all of these programs are based off of, and if you want to get into the military, stay tuned, follow us on Instagram and all that stuff, because we're going to have all this stuff there for you, and we're going to help you to realize your dreams. So, making your dream come true. So all of these programs are based off of not the current tests. Hold on, I'm going to have another sip of coffee. So the Army has the ACFT, and the Marine Corps has their combat fitness test or something like that. Hold on, I got a little water in my ear. A lot of swimming. But the starting place for the longest time in the Navy, in the Air Force, in the Army, and in the Marine Corps was what was called the APFT. And the APFT was criticized for not being well-rounded enough or applicable to combat situations. And I have one thing to say to that, and I don't care how this makes people feel, but that's absolute bullshit. Okay, the APFT is a perfect litmus test for muscular endurance and strength. It just absolutely is. It absolutely is. And remember, I was talking about the number of push-ups that can be done over time. It's also a pretty good indication of power, an individual's power component within their strength matrix, okay, within their conditioning matrix. And that's something I just made up right now, literally. But your conditioning matrix consists of strength, power, hypertrophy, and muscular endurance. Now, these are the metrics that individuals use. Like when I'm at the gym, I have people and I ask them, what are you doing here? And they're really taken aback by that question. You know what I mean? Like, I'm working out. I'm like, no. I know you're working out. What is the purpose of your workout? Well, I want to be fit. Okay. And then I break down the conditioning matrix as strength. Okay. And I'm going to tell you how I tell them. Strength is your overall ability to pick something up. How much can you pick up? Okay, that's a good layman's term for strength. How much can you pick up? Power is, okay, now I know you can pick that up. How fast can you move it? Okay. Now I know you can leap over that that obstacle, that box, that log. How fast can you leap over that log? Hypertrophy is an interesting thing because it's so often put into the aesthetics arena. Okay, so how we look when we look jacked. Okay, hypertrophy is this, and I'm simplifying all this. I know I got some fitness nerds out there. There's some sports scientists who are like, oh my gosh, that's too simple. But come on, simple terms. We're speaking to the public. So hypertrophy is how big the muscle is. Okay. So you start working out, 4 months later, you're bigger. You've experienced hypertrophy. So the muscle has grown in mass, meaning the muscle fiber has increased in size. Okay. A lot of little dynamic things are happening. There's even talks that there's the propagation of new myosin and actin. Who knows? I don't know. I think it's fascinating. So hypertrophy is the muscle getting bigger. Strength is how much can you lift. Power is how fast can you move it. Hypertrophy is how big is the muscle getting. Okay. Now that you've been attacking it by working out. And one of the things is more mass means more strength. So, but It doesn't always, like, it doesn't mean that just because you have more mass means you are going to be as strong as the individual who doesn't experience as much hypertrophy. It's not a law, okay? But more mass, the physics of it is more mass can move an object quicker, and that object can be larger that it moves. And muscular endurance, the ability for a muscle to be used repeatedly before it needs rest. So that's where, and this is all wrapping around, to me, all right, and the APFT and the fitness test, the Army Physical Fitness Test. And when I took it in the Army, when I took it in the Navy, I was a kid. So I have no idea what those numbers were. They were enough to graduate from boot camp, and I passed it twice every year, which is what was required in the Navy. And the test I took in the Navy was the same one I took when I was in the Army. So when I took it in the Army, I really started to notice what my numbers were. I really started to notice what my abilities were fitness-wise. And I found some interesting stuff. So I was lean and muscular. Didn't really experience too much hypertrophy because I stayed within the parameters. If I was exercising, I would do the APFT. Okay. Meaning I would do push-ups, I would do sit-ups, and I would run. Okay. I really wasn't. I was going to the gym here and there, but everything was fueling so I could do well on the APFT. And I also didn't have any knowledge of what would help me on the APFT. So one of the things that I could always do really well was the run. I had no trouble with the run. I could always motor the run. I'd make good time. And I could always usually do the sit-ups. No problem. Bang those sit-ups out. Boom, boom, boom. We did a lot of flutter kicks when I was in the Navy. So I was always geared towards doing flutter kicks and abdominal exercises, planks and all that stuff. So it was never that big a deal. The thing that always got me was the push-ups. And I could never understand it because I have big shoulders. I have big traps and I have a big back. And I could never figure it out. My chest was not that huge, but it wasn't anything where I wasn't able to do, what was required, what my standard was for the push-ups. So I think that was 40. And I am a firm believer in, if you're going to have others do it, you should be able to do it as well. If you're going to have other people do this stuff, you should be able, if you're going to say this is the right thing for you to do. Certifications are great. I have a TSAC certification from the National Strength and Conditioning Association. It's a tactical strength and conditioning facilitator. And I took a semester-long course on that text and all of the relevant research articles that supported that text. So I know this stuff. Plus, I also have, decade in the military. So I know this stuff. But I have trouble with push-ups. Oh, the other thing I can't do, pull-ups. All right. And I can't figure out why. I got this massive outer posterior upper structure. I use the word posterior as if that's a normal term. I am such a nerd. I have big shoulders and a strong back. I've got decent tries. My biceps are pretty decent. I'm strong. I also weigh a lot. I weigh like 265 pounds. I'm a big guy. I have really big tree trunk legs. My legs are like that big around. And I'm not overweight. Well, I guess I am overweight, but I'm not fat. So I'm a big guy. But I think I figured it out. I think I figured out why I can't do push-ups. And I have always been on this quest, this dream of being able to bang out push-ups. So the APFT is broken down into age categories. I think it's 18 to 22 or 21, and then 21 to 32, and then on and on and on. And it's a percentile. So you got to get 60% on each of, you have to make a certain time on the run, do a certain number of sit-ups and a certain number of push-ups. Well, 60% for the young, it's actually not the youngest age range, but for the age range that requires the most numbers. So the most push-ups and the most sit-ups is, I think, 21 to 32. I'm getting these numbers wrong, I know it, but whatever. So my age range was 40. 39 now and 40 when I was that age. Late 20s, early 30s. By the way, I'm 54. Just to drop that. Now, I've always wanted to get 100% because in those programs that our tier 1 program is training people for, BUDS, Navy SEALs, Special Forces Selection and Assessment. What is it? The Coast Guard Rescue Diver, Air Force JTAC, Marine Corps in their Sniper School, and Marine Raiders and MARSOC. All those guys, their requirements are I think they're at the 100% percentile. So you got to get 100%. You can't get 40 push-ups because that's 60%. You got to get 100%. So I looked up what it was, and I was so punched in the gut. 77 push-ups. So I'm like, you got to be freaking kidding me. 77 push-ups? That's insane. I can't conceive of doing 77 push-ups. That's just like outrageous. And that's when I realized that what the problem was. I can't conceive myself doing 77 push-ups. That's a big thing. I talk about sports psychology. I got a book full of sports psychology, basically manuals. And I was talking to a mentor that I have, and he was telling me, isn't that it? Isn't that we know all the stuff, but we're the worst at practicing it. So I've got this mental hurdle, this mental obstacle, this mental block telling me, and I can feel it. I could feel it as I think about it. I have this mental block telling me that there's no way you can do that. So I went on Amazon and I bought this book, 7 Weeks to 100 Push-Ups. Who's it by? It's by Steve Spears. And he's this British guy. I wonder if he was in the military. I don't know. But I've decided that that's bullshit. That mental block is bullshit. And I can feel it. Like, I'm talking about it, and I can feel the impossibility of it. And for those of you who have looked at a weight, I want to be able to bench this. I can't bench this. I want to be able to squat this. I can't squat this. I want to be able to run this far. I can't run that far. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You know the fingers in the back of your brain that this thought has. So I bought the book. I'm going to spend the next couple of weeks going over the book and injecting little tiny things from this book, because some of it's going to be good, some of it's not going to be useful to me. It may be useful to someone else, but there's going to be some information in that book that's useful. There's also going to be some information where I'm like, I thought that's why I do what I do. And there's going to be tips and tricks and help in achieving this dream of 77 push-ups, 100%. I watched this, what the hell was it? I watched this podcast interview of DJ Shipley on the Sean Ryan podcast, and he was talking about what the assessment is for getting into SEAL Team 6 Dev Group, and the insane fitness that these guys have to go through during the selection. And he said straight up, if you can't do 120 push-ups, you don't belong there. And I was like, oh, not that I belong there, but just, oh man, because in my mind's eye, I'm the toughest guy on the planet, right? But I have that mental block against doing that. So I'm stripping that away. And I did something. I bought the book, but I did something else that that I'm pretty freaking proud of myself for. So I normally do push-up sets. So I'll do, what'll I do? I'll do 5 sets of 10. Okay. And just try to really get into the habit of banging them out. And doing them hard, doing them fast, and getting through them. And I'm finding that my count is increasing. What do I mean by that? So let's say I could do the first 10, no problem. Do the second 10, no problem. Third, it's a struggle on the last 2. I know that's a mental block because I can feel the tension, but I know I can push the push-up. You always got one more push-up. So I did 4 sets. The last time I did them, well, I did more than that, but on the 4th set, I got up to, did I get up to 10? No, I got to 10 on the 4th set, and on the 5th set, I got to 6, I think. So I did 46 total, like within the parameters of the exercise. I couldn't, so I did 10, I did 10, I did 10, I did 10, and then I did 6, had to stand up, and then I banged out the last 4. But my last workout, which had that, I also, instead of doing 5 sets of 10, I did 8 sets of 10. And of course, could do like maybe 6, maybe 5, and then have to bang out, stand up, and then drop back down, rest for a second and do the last 5. But I'm pushing them. I'm getting the rep count. I may not be pushing all the way through yet, but I'm getting there. And I did 80 push-ups. I did 8 sets of 10. So I did something I've never done before in one sitting. I've done that 77 push-ups in one workout and an additional 4 or 3. Yeah, good job with math there, knuckle dragger. So I can feel it. I know I got a ways to go, but I'm getting there and I can feel it. And this is for you guys who are trying to push through that wall and get to that next level. I'm getting there. I'm going no matter what. I'm going to make it. I'm going to get 77. Fuck. I'm going to get 100 push-ups. All right. This book is a challenge. And I'm going to do it. And I got a plan for it. Oh, one of the things I found out though. So this is fun physiology. I have a little bird chest. So the I never pay much attention to chest. I don't do bench press that much. I do push-ups for my chest workout, but it hasn't been working out and it hasn't been developing. And I know for me, hypertrophy does lead to increased strength. So I need to get my chest muscles bigger. And one of the things, I'm so embarrassed. I've been looking up like the Arnold Schwarzenegger workout. And I've been incorporating some of his exercises, and I've got to tell you, I feel stronger. So forget about you. I know this is working. So I'm working to increase my chest because of I never did the science behind a push-up and looked into it. And I'm a dummy for, I have a sports science background, and I never did took the academic approach to, I wonder how we can MacGyver this. And now I think I figured it out. And another thing is form and where you're pushing. So for a long time, I was pushing from up here, and now I'm pushing from right at my sternum, right below my chest muscles. And that actually is causing me to use the full strength of my chest muscles and not rely on other muscle groups. Just literally using my chest to push out. Because, I'm bench pressing, and it's not, for the volume that I'm doing, it's not easy, but it's doable. And I was curious, why is that doable? But push-ups are such a pain in the ass for me. So I'm overcoming this, and I'm going to win. I'm good enough. And, I'm being a dork. I'm going to get this, and I'm going to keep you guys in the loop and let you know what's going on. All right. So that's what I have for that. I'm following my dream. My dream is to get 77 push-ups. And I'm going to get it by doing 100 and being just super, super badass. And to all you men and women out there who want to do this, great segue, I am working with my partners, colleagues, to develop these programs I told you about, the tier 3, the tier 2, and the tier 1. And I was spending a lot of time creating PDFs. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the tier 3 PDF and turn that into a book that I'm going to have available on Amazon and on our Shopify store, which will take you to Amazon where you can get it, and you'll be able to get a print copy or a downloadable copy. And the one that's on the website right now is being redeveloped. That's a good program, but it is not specific enough. So I'm redesigning the program. And the tier 3 is going to become a book. But the tier 3, 2, and 1 programs are also going to be available on an app that we're developing, which will also take you to the store. And this spring, I will be working with a couple of individuals to create videos of all these exercises. So you will have an incredibly specific guide to doing all the exercises. Now, we're going to also have these videos on YouTube, but if you don't use the app and pay for the program, which is going to be cheap, it's going to be like $20. 20, actually, is it going to be 20? No, it's going to be 25. Ooh, sorry about that. It's going to be $24.99 for each of the programs. And if you don't get the program through the app, you're not going to know how it all ties in. You're just going to have a bunch of exercises and no direction, which is what I did for the longest time and didn't have the results that I wanted. And now I'm rectifying that. So that's all coming soon. And that's all I got for you. So remember, head on over to www.sandlfit.com. That's sandlfit.com. Pick up your merch, and we'll see you soon. Thanks, guys. Later.